Chosen ones. People think it's some grand honor, like the universe handing you a golden ticket. But the reality, it's pain stitched into your skin. It's walking through crowds and still feeling alone. It's being tested, pushed, broken, while everyone else watches from a safe distance. Being chosen doesn't mean freedom. It means chains. Chains no one else can see, but you carry every second. And when that weight becomes too much for most, being chosen, everyone whispers about it, like it's a crown waiting to be placed on your head. A reward. A blessing. But that's the joke, isn't it? It's not a blessing at all. It's a burden. It crawls under your skin and stays there, tightening its grip with every breath you take. People on the outside see the word chosen, and they imagine greatness, comfort, and power. They imagine you walking with the world in your hands, adored and admired. But when you're the one actually carrying it, the truth is something far darker. It feels like a weight chain to your chest, dragging you down every time you try to breathe. You don't get to live like everyone else. They get to wake up, smile, and pretend life is simple. No. You wake up with that invisible pressure pressing down on your ribs. You feel it in every choice, every step. Being chosen isn't about opportunity. It's about responsibility shoved into your veins until it poisons your peace. The world doesn't clap for you. It doesn't hand you trophies. It watches. It waits. It circles you like vultures waiting for you to stumble so they can feast on your fall. That's the reality no one dares to say out loud. You walk into a room, and it's as if every pair of eyes knows you're not like the rest. Some of them admire, some envy, most resent. They don't see the cost. They don't see the nights where your mind tears itself apart because you can't afford to be weak. They don't see how the silence of being chosen is louder than any crowd's applause. And in that silence, you hear the truth. The burden is yours alone. No one's coming to help. No one's coming to share the load. That's what it means to be chosen. And the burden doesn't end there. Every mistake you make, every crack in your armor, is amplified. Ordinary people can fail quietly. Their flaws vanish in the crowd. But when you're chosen, the world magnifies every stumble into a spectacle. You aren't allowed to bleed. You aren't allowed to break. And when you do, because you will, it's broadcasted, mocked, and remembered. You're not human anymore. You're an example, a lesson, a warning. And that strips away the last fragments of freedom you thought you had. The cruel part, it doesn't stop. The weight doesn't ease. People think there's an end to it, like one day you just arrive at peace. But peace doesn't belong to the chosen. Peace is for the ones who never carried the fire, who never knew what it meant to be marked by life itself. For you, there is only the burden, every single day, and the world's twisted expectation that you'll bear it with a smile. And when you finally understand what it really means, when the illusion of glory shatters and all you're left with is the crushing truth that being chosen isn't a gift, but a curse, a responsibility sewn into your skin with barbed wire, you start to see why so many can't take it, why they collapse, Why they disappear? Because the weight doesn't let go. It tightens. It suffocates. It follows you into your dreams and whispers in your ear when you wake. It doesn't leave. That's the price of being chosen. Not glory, not honor, not freedom, just the endless weight pressing down, reminding you that you don't belong to yourself anymore. You belong to the burden. You belong to the fire that won't stop burning, no matter how much it consumes. You carry it, whether you want to or not, because once you're chosen, you don't get to step away. You don't get to run. The burden never lets go. The world. Oh, it has such a clever way of fooling you. When you're chosen, you expect a hand on your shoulder, a crowd behind you, a safety net beneath your feet. But the world doesn't lift you up. It doesn't wrap you in comfort. No, the world sharpens its claws and waits. It doesn't test you gently. It drags you through fire, through broken glass, through every shadow you thought you'd never have to face. And that's the real trick. People expect applause when destiny calls, but what they actually get is trial after trial until their soul cracks under the pressure. The world has this strange hunger, like it enjoys watching the chosen suffer. It sets obstacles in your path that weren't there for anyone else. It whispers lies in your ear, telling you you're not enough, pushing you to doubt every decision you make. And just when you think you've survived one storm, another rolls in, darker, louder, crueler. You start to notice that the harder you fight, the more relentless it becomes. Almost like the world isn't testing you to make you stronger. It's testing you to break you. And people play their part beautifully. They see you standing out, carrying something they don't understand, and instead of reaching to help, they pull away. Some smile to your face while quietly hoping you'll trip. Others throw stones wrapped in words, cutting deeper than any blade. They don't cheer you on, they doubt you, they judge you, they whisper behind your back. They wait for you to prove them wrong, and when you finally do, they don't celebrate. They move the goalpost. They change the rules. You realize you're not playing a fair game. You're trapped in one designed for you to lose. The tests never stop coming. They creep into your life when you least expect them. You think you've earned a moment of rest, but rest isn't part of the deal. The world throws distractions at you, temptations, weaknesses you thought you'd conquered long ago. It drags people into your path who pretend to care, only to watch you collapse. It gives you just enough hope to keep going, then rips it away when you reach for it. And that's the cruel rhythm of it all. Build, break, repeat. What makes it even worse is the loneliness. Because when the world tests you, no one else can feel what you feel. They don't see the war inside your mind. The way your chest tightens when you realize you have to keep standing even when your knees are shaking. To everyone else, you're just another face in the crowd. But deep inside, you're being dragged through something far bigger. And when you try to explain, they don't understand. They laugh, they dismiss, they call you dramatic. So you stop speaking. You keep it all locked inside, and the silence grows heavier with every test. The pressure builds in ways you can't describe. You start questioning if you're cursed, if you did something to deserve the constant storms. And the truth, that's exactly what the world wants. It wants you confused. It wants you doubting. It wants you standing in the middle of the fire, wondering if maybe you should just give up. Let it all consume you. Because the world isn't kind. It never was. It's a stage where the chosen are the entertainment, and the trials are the show. And the irony is, people on the outside will still point at you and say you're lucky. They'll say you have it all. They'll envy your position, your title, your so-called blessing, while never seeing the blood dripping from your hands. They'll call you strong without realizing strength isn't what you wanted. It's what you were forced to build. The world doesn't support. It tests. It claws. It laughs while you drown, then tosses you a rope made of thorns. That's the reality of it. Isolation. That's the quiet poison nobody warns you about. When you're chosen, you don't just walk a path that's different. You walk it alone. At first, you think you'll still have people beside you. Friends, family, maybe someone who understands. But slowly, piece by piece, you realize they can't follow. They don't feel the weight you carry. They don't see the fire that's burning you from the inside out. And little by little, the distance grows. Smiles fade. Conversations dry up. Their eyes tell you what their words won't. That you've become a stranger in the same room you used to feel at home in. It isn't the kind of loneliness where you're simply by yourself. No, it's worse. It's the kind where you're surrounded by people and still feel like a ghost. You laugh when they laugh, but the sound doesn't reach your chest. You sit at the table, but it feels like you're behind a glass wall, pounding on it while no one hears. And the more you carry, the less they understand, until one day you stop trying to explain. You stop reaching. You stop expecting anyone to see you. That's when the isolation becomes permanent. Not a moment, not a phase, but a way of living. There's something almost cruel in the way people react to the chosen. Some are curious, but curiosity doesn't last long. Most are suspicious. They sense that you're different, that you don't fit into the box they've built for everyone else. And people don't like what doesn't fit. They start to whisper. They start to question. They start to look at you like you're carrying something contagious. They back away slowly, and you don't even realize it until you turn around one day and the room is empty. That emptiness, it changes you. It makes you sharper, colder, harder. You start building walls so no one can get close enough to leave you again. You start smiling less, talking less, showing less. Because why bother? No one really wants to see behind the mask. They're comfortable with their version of you, not the truth of you. And so, you bury the truth deep down, and isolation becomes the only companion you can trust. It doesn't leave. It doesn't betray. It just sits there, like a shadow, always watching, always reminding you that you're not like them. And then comes the silence, the kind that eats at your bones. At first, you think silence might be peace, but it's not. It's a mirror. It shows you everything you've lost, everything you've sacrificed, everything you can't ever have back. In that silence, you hear the voices of the past, the laughter of people who used to be there. You hear your own doubts, your own fears, amplified until they echo in your skull. Silence stops being a relief. It becomes a punishment, and you endure it because what else is there? The irony is, isolation is what forces you to grow, but it's also what threatens to destroy you. It strips away the comfort of company, forces you to face yourself in ways most people never have to. You start questioning your own mind, your own sanity, because without someone else to reflect you back, you wonder if you're even real anymore. You wonder if this burden you carry is shaping you into something human or something monstrous. And there's no one there to answer. No one there to ground you. Just the echo of your own voice in the dark. People might glance at you and think you're strong, think you've chosen the path of solitude. They don't understand that it was never a choice. It was forced. It was the inevitable price of carrying something they'll never understand. And so, you wear the mask. You play the part. You stand in crowds while feeling completely invisible. Because the truth is, once you've been marked as different, once you've been set apart, you can never go back. You can never truly belong again. Isolation doesn't just visit you. It claims you, and once it does, it never lets go. Pressure, it doesn't arrive all at once. It seeps in, drop by drop, until you can't remember a time when your chest wasn't tight, when your thoughts weren't heavy. At first, you think you can handle it. You stand tall, you grit your teeth, you tell yourself you're built for this. But pressure doesn't care how tough you pretend to be. It presses in from every side, invisible but constant, like chains you can't see but feel with every breath. And soon enough, it's not just something you carry, it becomes something that carries you, dragging you into places you never thought you'd go. Being chosen means you don't walk free, you walk bound. Every step you take is weighted by expectations, by the eyes of people waiting for you to stumble. Those chains tighten every time you succeed, not loosen. That's the twisted part. The more you do, the more they demand. The more you prove, the more they doubt. It's a trap without an exit, a cage with no key. You might smile, you might laugh, but inside you feel it. Links of iron clamped around your spirit, pulling tighter every day. Pressure doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. It creeps into your thoughts late at night, when the world is quiet and you're left alone with yourself. It tells you you're not enough, no matter how much you've done. It tells you one wrong move will bring it all crashing down. It makes you afraid to breathe too deeply, afraid to rest for even a second. Because what if the whole thing slips through your fingers? And the more you try to push it away, the louder it becomes. The whisper turns into a scream that only you can hear, and the chains dig deeper into your skin. You begin to notice the cracks. Your shoulders ache under the invisible weight. Your mind races even when your body begs for rest. Sleep stops being sleep. It's just a rehearsal of all the ways you might fail tomorrow. Food doesn't taste like food anymore. It tastes like fuel, something you force down because you have no choice. Conversations become shorter, your laughter thinner, because the pressure doesn't give you room to breathe, let alone live. And people around you, they don't see it. They only see the mask, the surface, the version of you that convinces them everything's fine. And yet, that mask becomes another chain. Because once you've convinced them you're strong, they expect you to always be strong. Once you've proven you can carry the weight, they give you more. You stop being a person and become a machine, a vessel built to hold pressure without breaking. But inside, every link of that chain cuts deeper, carving scars no one else will ever see. And still you carry it. Because what's the alternative? To drop it. To let it crush you in front of them. No, you tell yourself you can't. You have to keep walking. You have to keep pretending. The cruelest part of pressure is how it isolates you from yourself. You forget what it feels like to live without the chains. You forget what it feels like to take a step without the world pressing down on your back. You don't even remember who you were before it began. Pressure rewrites you, shapes you into something else entirely. It teaches you to measure your worth, not by who you are, but by how much you can endure. And the moment you stop enduring, that's when the chains win. But the chains, they never loosen. They never fall away. They only tighten as time goes on. And maybe that's the greatest trick of all. That being chosen doesn't mean you're free. It means you're shackled to something that only grows heavier, something that feeds on your strength, something that makes sure every breath you take is borrowed under the weight of a responsibility you never asked for, but can never escape. Envy and fear, that's the welcome gift for the chosen. People don't gather around to celebrate you. They gather around to study you, to compare themselves against you, what to pick apart every move you make. At first, you think they admire you. You think the stares are filled with respect. But look closer. Their smiles don't reach their eyes. Their applause is hollow. Underneath it all, what they feel isn't pride in you. It's fear of what you represent and envy of what they can never have. The moment you're set apart, the moment life stamps that mark of difference on you, people can't help themselves. They turn cold. They start measuring their own lives against yours. And when they fall short, resentment begins to grow. They don't see the blood in your veins, the weight on your back, the storms inside your head. They only see the surface. The idea that you've been given something they weren't. And instead of understanding the cost, they tell themselves lies. They call you lucky. They call you privileged. They strip away your humanity so they don't have to admit the truth. That deep down, they wish it was them. But envy doesn't stay quiet. It breeds whispers, rumors, sharp little words slipped into conversations. It paints you as arrogant, dangerous, someone who thinks they're better. They try to drag you down not because you've done wrong, but because your very existence threatens them. You remind them of what they never became, of the dreams they buried, of the courage they didn't have. And people hate reminders of their own failures, so they project it on you. They turn their envy into venom and spit it wherever your name is spoken. Then there's the fear. Fear works differently. Fear is quieter, but it cuts deeper. People fear what they can't control, what they don't understand. And when you're chosen, you carry something that doesn't fit into their simple little boxes. That frightens them. They don't know how to approach you, how to define you, how to measure you. So instead of getting close, they step back. They keep their distance. They label you unpredictable, unstable, dangerous even, not because you've harmed them, but because you don't play by their rules. And nothing unsettles people more than someone who refuses to be ordinary. You'll notice it in their eyes. That flicker when you walk into a room. That unease in their tone when they speak your name. They might smile. They might laugh, but behind it is a wall, a barrier, an invisible line that says, "You're not like us." And that makes us afraid. You become the shadow they can't ignore, the mirror they don't want to look into. And once they fear you, they'll never truly accept you. They'll watch from afar, they'll talk when you leave, but they'll never stand beside you without suspicion in their hearts. What they don't realize is that envy and fear isolate you more than chains ever could. You're not just carrying a burden anymore. You're walking through a crowd that secretly resents and fears your presence. Every compliment is a disguise, every handshake a test. You stop knowing who's genuine and who's waiting for you to fall so they can breathe easier. You start building armor, not out of strength, but out of necessity. Because when you're surrounded by envy and fear, trust becomes a luxury you can't afford, and it doesn't stop. The higher you climb, the heavier it gets. The more you prove yourself, the sharper their envy grows. The more you break the rules of their little world, the deeper their fear burrows. It becomes a cycle. Your rise fuels their resentment fuels your isolation. Your isolation makes you stand out even more. Until suddenly you realize that applause and